do with the biogeochemical cycles. And these cycles are the very important uh, part of this chapter, because most of the questions will be framed from this only. Rest of the other things are like the theoretical one, but the logical questions, something like that, can be uh, prepared with the help of this cycle. Okay, so it is quite interesting also, and you don't have to mug them up. They are basically, if you are clear with the concept, then they are like, you can draw your own cycle and you can explain the concept very easily with it. So I will try to simplify them according to your books, and I will try to make them so that you can learn them easily. Okay. So first, as we are talking about these biogeochemical cycles, let me write it down first of all. So this is that bio, geo, and chemical. All three things. Bio means living, geo means earth, and chemical, that means all the nutrients, the minerals, the ions, the gases, anything which is present in the atmosphere are taking the part in this cycles. And these are considered as cycles because whatever the living organisms, or whatever anything which is obtained from the environment, it is given back to the environment in the same form. The in whatever form it was obtained, same form has to be returned back to the atmosphere. That is why these are called cycles, and they are very smooth. They are very functioning very smoothly, uh, without any disturbance, without any causing any harm to any other, interfering. One cycle will not interfere the another cycle. That's how the smooth functioning is working. And let's see, we have to discuss in this biogeochemical cycles. You have first, that is the water cycle. You have the cycle regarding nitrogen. You have the cycle regarding carbon, and I think oxygen also. Okay. So you have the cycles about these four topics, like water, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen. And if you are interested after this, then you have so many others also. So sulfur cycle is also there, and a lot of other cycles are there. But we have, according to your book, we have these. So first of all, let's see, uh, because let's start with the entity which is the biggest part of our environment. And without this, in survival of any living organism is bit difficult. So let's see this. Uh, when you are talking about this biogeochemical cycles, in this, just remember that you are including the whole biosphere, and in this biosphere, all the living organism. Is it so? You can see the screen. Somebody texted me. Rest of the others, rest of
Screen.
the rest of the others can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So just check out with your network, beta. I think it must be. Sagarika, right? Sagarika, just check your network, dear. I think it must be the problem for there only. So, biosphere, now see what happens. Where were I? Yes, biogeochemical cycles. When you are talking about that, means you are including the whole biosphere. You are including the living organisms. You are including all the abiotic components also. Abiotic components and biotic components. Then you have the chemicals, that means nutrients in form of minerals, in form of ions, or in form of gases. All these things will be included when we are talking about these. So let's begin with the water cycle first of all. If I consider the water cycle, okay, first one. The water cycle, when we are talking about, just see that when it is happening, you have to imagine a very big picture when you are seeing it. Okay, it is not as simple as uh, the way it is not like the thing it is nearby, near the water body which is nearby your house. It is only that much part you can imagine. You have to imagine a very big picture regarding that. But let's simplify it in when you imagine a small ecosystem with it, then you can definitely relate it with everything. So let's see that when you are talking about a water body, suppose if you have, I will try to simplify it as much as possible from my side. So let's have a water body. You have a water body. Now this water body can be anything. It can be a river. It can be a pond. It can be a lake. It can be a sea. It can be a ocean. Anything. Okay, so you have to imagine everything. That means each and every type of water body is taking part in this water cycle, and definitely the percentage of that particular thing is variable. That means the most of the active participation is from the sea and the oceans. Okay, rather than the river, pond, and lakes. They are also included over here. But the thing is, the most highest activity occurs in the sea and the ocean. So you have water bodies which will definitely do their contribution here, and then you have so many other living entities also. Like let's talk about some green friends over here. If I say, let me draw some. If you have trees, then you have animals and humans. So it's a animal, okay, and you have humans. Everybody is taking part in this water cycle. So don't relate it with any of the animal. It's just an example. Okay? Now see what is happening, that this all these living entity and abiotic components, they are helping in release of water from their side. So this type of release of water, that from the plants, if it is happening, it is in form of transpiration. I think you must be aware of the of this word, transpiration.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So transpiration is happening from these trees, and as living organisms of this one, animal and humans, they will release the water with the help of process called respiration. Okay, so they will do this, and these abiotic that means water bodies will be having a huge rate of evaporation. So definitely sea and oceans have a large surface area. So the process of evaporation is much higher their part as compared to the rivers, as compared to the ponds or lakes or some other type of uh, area if you consider. So this is how the water will be released in the environment, and basically what happens, other activities from the plants, whatever they are losing, what everything reaches here only, so that part also goes to the evaporation. If they are releasing waste material and all that, that also is reaching over here. So that in any of the form, the water should go in the atmosphere. Now uh, basically what happens, this when it is happening, it helps in the formation of clouds, because everything is turning itself into the gaseous form. So it will get accumulated somewhere in the at some height. It will help in the formation of clouds, and this happens nearby the sea or nearby the ocean. That you must be aware that, because we have studied the land breeze and sea breeze and all that, you have studied. So that helps in the formation of clouds. When this is happening, this formation of clouds, when it is done, the whole process is completed, they travel, these clouds will travel to the area where the low pressure will be there and all that will be happening. So they will travel to the distance. Okay, and definitely it will be away from the water body, and it will be a greener area. So let's talk about, if I talk about the land region. Okay, so land is definitely of any of the type you can consider. It can be a mountains, it can be a mountains, it can be a valley, it can be a plateau, it can be a grassland, or it can be a desert. Anything, any type of land can be considered over here. So that these clouds should reach over these area, and you know how the clouds are formed and how they are traveling to the region where you live, because of the pressure differences and the wind creations and all that. So that is how it is being related, and this is how the clouds are crossing the distance of many of the even the miles and all that is done. That means from the ocean to it reaches to the western part of India and all that, it reaches even to the Rajasthan. There till there the clouds will travel, and wherever they find the proper pressure difference, wherever they found the low pressure, wherever they find that that is the place they can have the process of condensation. Then when they have this condensation, then what will happen, it will definitely give you rain. So this is how the rain will be obtained. Now, whatever water is accumulated on any of type of land, suppose it reaches to the mountains, then it will be converted in form of ice, and that is how it will be there. And later on, when it will be melting, and many other forms of ice will be there, and that is how the water will reach from mountains to the rivers, and then through rivers it will reach to the oceans and seas. Then valley and plateau, you have so many waterfalls and all that. That is how the water will again reach to the water body. Then grasslands, definitely what they will do, this water will be slowly soaked by these ground, and under the ground the groundwater level will be maintained. That will be a fresh water because it comes from the rain. So that will be maintained under the grasslands and the grounds and everywhere, wherever part of soaking is done. And that is how it should maintain the groundwater level. And even the deserts have the rain, some amount of some percentage of rain. So there also it will maintain the percentage of humidity. And rest of the water will definitely finds its way through the streams and all that, streams, rivers, or many of the water channels are formed, and that is how they will again reach to the water body, and it will be utilized by plant. If it reaches to the plants, it will be utilized by the plants. If it reaches to the animals, it will be utilized by the animals, and rest of the others will definitely go to the nearby water body, which whatever is present uh, around it. So that is how the water cycle can be maintained. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I tried
Yes,
to
ma'am.
make simplify it, and I tried to make it so that you can imagine that this can be the process. uh,
Yes.
See, fine. Because if you talk about central India, there you don't have any type of sea or ocean surrounding it. Okay, that means the river that are generated from that central India are going. I think because you study geography, you must be knowing that it reaches to that eastern Ghats and western Ghats. Then it reaches to the sea and the ocean and all that. I think you are aware of this.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So that's how you can imagine the picture of this water cycle. I think not more than this is required for it. And if you have any doubts, do ask me. Otherwise, I will proceed for the next one. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So shall we move forward with the nitrogen cycle?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So let's see. Then we have another one, that is a nitrogen. Nitrogen cycle. Fine. Again, this one is also a very big uh, component which is present in almost all the living organism, and it is present at the level of DNA and RNA, because I think you are aware that we have cell, and inside the cell we have nucleus, and inside the nucleus you are having DNA and RNA. So till there, the presence of nitrogen is there. Okay, your body is made up of it. The whole body is made up of proteins. Your skin, your hairs, your nails, everything is made up of proteins. So all these proteins are made up of with the help of nitrogen. So you can imagine how how much big part it is playing in every living organism. Even not only human, every animal, if you take their skin, their horns, their hairs, their nails, everything, claws and all that are made up of with the help of nitrogen. Without nitrogen, it is impossible to imagine all these privileges. Okay, So that is how, and I think you are aware that it is in the 78% of nitrogen is there in the atmosphere and all that. Okay, so let's see how it is maintaining this cycle, and with what type of components and other living organisms are incorporated and taking part in this. So you have to very much clear when we are talking about that. Whatever present in the atmosphere, we should write first of all that it is atmospheric nitrogen. And I think you are aware of this N2. That is how I should write for the nitrogen. Okay. So I'm not good with the chemistry. Just let me know when I'm going wrong with this. Okay. So atmospheric nitrogen, that is how you have to consider. And the way it is present in the atmosphere, it should be utilized by the organisms, it should be utilized by both animals and plants. And how it is utilized is that basically the humans or animals, they don't use it directly. Okay, so what happens is that the big picture comes with the microorganism when you are talking about the nitrogen cycle. So I will write down first of all, you have three steps when you are talking about nitrogen cycle. You have three steps in it. First is called ammonification. First cycle is this. First step is this. Second, you have nitrification, and third step is denitrification. Okay. So in three steps, this nitrogen cycle will be uh, uh, proceeding. And let's see what is happening over here. That whatever atmospheric nitrogen is
Ma'am?
available. Yes, dear.
Ma'am, may you please make the page a little up? I want to write that part, that oxygen part.
This one.
No, मैम अरे थोड़ा नीचे कीजिए ना पहला वाला पार्ट.
Okay, this one.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, a little left. Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Is it done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So what is happening that in this ammonification, nitrification and denitrification, first of all, first two, that is ammonification and nitrification, is utilizing atmospheric nitrogen, and it will be utilized by all type of living organisms, whether it is microorganisms or plants or animals in first two processes. So see what is happening that when you are talking about ammonification, then the process happens over here is that the atmospheric nitrogen, that is N2, fine, it is converted into, because we are talking about ammonification, that N2 is converted in the form of ammonia. Okay, it should be converted in form of ammonia. And why this process is happening and how it is happening, uh, it is all because of microorganisms present in the environment. So type of organisms you are having, you have, I think you must have heard about the bacteria called pseudomonas and all that. Have you heard these names?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Fine. So all these microorganisms will what they do, they will uh, develop that type of condition that converts the atmospheric nitrogen into the ammonia. From where the hydrogen comes, it's all about the metabolic activities played by all these small microorganisms. So that is how it is happening. So First is this process, that is ammonia, atmospheric nitrogen should be converted into ammonia. Then there is a process in which this ammonia should be converted into whatever it is, because some plants will be, some organisms will be utilizing this ammonia, but some will not be able to comfortable with this. So this ammonia is further converted into, that is NO2 minus, that is nitrite, and it is converted into NO3, that is nitrate. So conversion of ammonia into nitrites or nitrates, that process is called nitrification. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the plants and the microorganisms which are involved in this, what they will do, first thing, that is atmospheric nitrogen should be converted into ammonia. That process is called ammonification. Then this ammonia will be further simplified in the form of nitrites and nitrates, and that process is called nitrification. Once this is done, then this nitrites and nitrates will be utilized by many of the plants, many of the animals for their synthesis of proteins, amino acids, alkaloids, many of the things. Okay, so and right now what I am doing is utilizing the atmospheric nitrogen. So we will not see denitrification right now. So that is how, if I draw that there may be the possibility of conversion of NH, atmospheric nitrogen, into NH3, and that process is called ammonification. Okay, and this NH3 is further converted into NO2 minus, then NO3 minus. This NO3 minus is again goes back to that atmosphere, and that whole process is called nitrification. Okay, so this ammonia can be utilized by plants, okay, and many of the microorganisms, and these nitrites can also be utilized by some plants and microorganisms. This is how it is happening. Now see, because humans depend on the animals and the plants for their food, basically that is what is happening, and animals depends on the plants for their food. So how it is done that this uh, whole process, the major part which will be utilizing this nitrogen will be the plants. The plants will synthesize their food and everything, that will be taken by the herbivores. Then herbivores will be helping the carnivores and omnivores, and humans will be having the food from both of them, from the plants and the animals. So that is a food chain. If you are incorporating relating that part, then it is a food chain part. So I am not writing that part over here. Okay, and what I am writing is how the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen is happening in the biosphere. So that is what is done. And there is one more process is there, that when there is a lightning, when there is an environment, when you have a huge rainfall and there is a lightning and the thunderstorm is there, then this atmospheric nitrogen is directly fixed in the soil. Okay, and that is directly fixed in the soil with the help of, that is also done by microorganisms and some plants, and direct fixing will convert it into NO3 minus, and it can again reach us to atmospheric nitrogen. So that is called nitrogen fixation when it is happening. I will be writing that in much elaborated form now. Okay, so shall I turn the page?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So what is happening over here is that, so when we are talking about this, let's see when nitrogen fixation occurs. Okay, for nitrogen fixation, you should understand that atmospheric nitrogen, whatever is present in the atmosphere, it should be fixed directly in form of nitrites or nitrates. Okay, so this is what is happening, and this fixation is done with the help of lightning. Lightning is happening. Okay, so when lightning is done, then that is done directly. That is a completely a natural process, how the ions of nitrogen gets charged and they are combining with the oxygen present in the atmosphere, and they are converted into the nitrites, and how they are fixed into the soil. So when lightning is there, then what will happen? The some you have free living nitrogen fixing bacteria in the soil. Okay, you have some free living nitrogen fixing bacteria. What do you mean by free living? That means these bacteria will not depend on any other living organism, not even the other microorganisms, not even the other plants. They will just freely available in the soil. So these free living nitrogen fixing bacteria, when it is lightning, they will be ready like this, like in form of like catching this nitrogen. So whenever there is a lightning, this will be there, and whenever this will be there, they will just like this in that on the soil surface, and they will just hold it and fix it in the soil under the ground. So that is what will be happening with this. And then you have another symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. And symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria, what they do, you must be aware of the leguminous plants.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the plants basically like
Ma'am, pea
pulses.
plant.
Okay, leguminous plants, legumes. Okay, so pulses and the
Ma'am,
seeds like,
pea,
yes,
ma'am, pea can also be a leguminous, na?
yes, pea, your rajma and your chola and all that, all these are leguminous. They are have high amount of protein in them. So what they do, these plants, they have when let me draw their root structure. In that, they have a bulb-like physical structure you can see in the roots. And these bulbs are formed by the bacteria, these symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. They prepare the proper place to live there. And in these type of structures, these are called legumes. Okay, so these are the places they live over there. And when they are living over here, they have the capability to capture this nitrogen from the atmosphere whenever it is lightning, and they will be able to fix this nitrogen in the roots of these plants. Okay, so leguminous plants, when it is being fixed in the roots, so definitely root have the property to uptake everything towards the shoot. Okay, so it will uptake this nitrogen in the shoot part, and in the shoot you have leaves where the process of photosynthesis is there. So definitely a process of photosynthesis is occurring, and they have to prepare a food. They have to prepare fruits and seeds and all that. So all these things is happening. So these leaves, when they are preparing food, they will be having a huge amount of nitrogen in them. So whatever food is being prepared by these types of plants. So that's why pulses like dals or the peas or the rajma and the chola, when you say all these things, they have a high quantity of protein. The amount of protein is much higher if you compare to the another vegetables or something like that. So that is how they will be utilizing the nitrogen for the formation of food, and these seeds will be full of protein in nature. So that is how the fixation is being done. Is it clear to you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Fine. And
Yes,
uh,
ma'am.
then you know that dead and decaying organisms, they will be decomposition of their body will take place. So, and definitely their body, because skin, hairs, and every part like your nails are made up of nitrogen, because proteins, and proteins consist of nitrogen. So whenever the body is decomposing, dead and decayed, these proteins will be denatured and they will be converted into nitrogen. So that nitrogen will again reaches to the atmosphere. So that is how the animals and the humans or the plants can give back the nitrogen to the atmosphere again. Then that process is called denitrification. And this denitrification is that in any form of this nitrogen is present in the soil or on the earth surface. That means if it is in form of NH3 or it is form of NO3. So let's start with the most basic form. That is, if it is present in form of this NO3 minus, it will be converted into NO2 minus, and then NO, then NO, N2. That is how it will be reaching again back to the atmosphere. NO, then N2. This is how it is happening. And how this balance, see, I am not doing the chemistry over here, why it is being like 3 and 2, and why it is N2 again, how it is happening, that you will study once you reaches to the 11th or 12th science, when you have a big type of a reaction with this also. Then you will understand that how this balancing is done. So till now you should understand that what do you mean by denitrification. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Till
ma'am.
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
Fine. Any doubts regarding nitrogen cycle?
No, ma'am.
Right? You can follow the diagram which is given in your textbooks and whatever books you are referring, and you can definitely go relate. You should know that whenever you are talking about this, you should aware of nitrogen fixation first of all, and you should be aware of ammonification, nitrification, and denitrification. Then you are thorough with the nitrogen cycle. Is it clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. So that is how it is happening. And the thing is, next one, if I proceed with this, let's see, you have carbon cycle and oxygen cycle. Okay. Carbon cycle, oxygen cycle. Okay, I am taking them. Basically, I will go with them simultaneously. I think you are very much aware that we inhale oxygen, we give out CO2. Even the animals do that, and the plants do the reverse process with us. Okay, so that's why the oxygen and the carbon is balanced in the atmosphere. Okay, fine. So let's see how this thing is being done in the environment. First of all, when we are talking about carbon, that is present in the form of CO2. Okay, because carbon is not present elementally in the atmosphere. Elemental form is not there. It is present in form of CO2, and I think percentage you are aware of CO2 0.03 or something like that must be there. Okay, so this is how the CO2 is present, and this CO2, the one which is utilizing it widely, that is definitely our beloved neighbors. They are just the plants. Okay, the one which is utilizing it in every type, it can be absorbed by the plants, and this plant will help definitely. Plants also have a little bit of respiration process in them. So just understand that sometimes in a very little amount, they also releases CO2.
Excuse me, ma'am. Has ma'am left?
Fine. I think I got disconnected. Now is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So these plants will be giving back the atmospheric CO2 with the help of respiration. They also perform respiration in a very little amount, it is going back. Okay, do understand that, because plants are also living organisms. So they also.
Ma'am, your video is off.
Is it so?
Can't.
Now it is there.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So what I have to do, because I don't know.
Ma'am, just switch on the camera, ma'am.
Here it is showing me on. Now.
No, ma'am.
No,
Ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Because what I have to do, I have to click this video.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's okay.
Okay.
Now coming.
Is coming? Okay, fine. Just teach me, okay? Because this one, I just get confused with this. So the plants, what they do is they definitely give back CO2, because they are also performing a little amount of respiration. And when these plants are decaying, when they are dead, when they are dying, then they are converted into coal. Okay, and these plants will definitely, I think fossil fuels, you are aware of these words, they help in the form
Yes,
of
ma'am.
formation of petroleum.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this can be done. And these plants definitely help because they utilize CO2, and because they utilize CO2, they can perform photosynthesis, and animals will have these plants. Is it coming?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, video is not coming. Ma'am, now coming.
Okay, fine. For everybody it is all good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Fine. So these animals are utilizing plant as their food source. They obtain the oxygen from them. So that is how this CO2 because when plants are utilizing CO2, they provide oxygen to them for animals and humans. They even synthesize their food. So with the help of photosynthesis, that will be also utilized by animals and humans. And these animals and humans, when they are dying, or then when they are dead and decayed, then it will be returned back to the, when they are dead and decayed, then they are giving back the CO2 to the atmosphere, and definitely with the process of respiration. respiration and dead and decaying is happening. So through animals, it is reaching again back to the atmosphere. And when these, because if we are talking about animals, these animals, if we talk about the marine one, marine animals, then they convert this CO2 in form of shells. I think you must be aware of calcium carbonate. So all those beautiful structures like shells and all that present on the shores, you can just collect them. They are all the form of calcium carbonate, which is converted by these marine animals, and it is just because this CO2 reaches to the this water bodies, and that's the reason to the rivers, on the shores of the rivers, you can see that on the shores of the sea or the oceans, you can see this, that the shells are being formed. So big amount of CO2 is being converted into calcium carbonate, and that calcium carbonate is because they are the homes for these animals. These shells are the homes for these animals. That's why huge amount of CO2 is being utilized over here also. Understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. And another one is like
Yes.
mountains and all that, because many of the mountains are being from atmosphere, again and again the for conversion of carbonates is there, formation of carbonate is happening, and that is converted into the limestone. I think limestone, you are aware, it is type of the one which in olden times you used to paint the house with this.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so nowadays you have polyester colors and all that, but limestone is the one which is converting atmospheric. You have huge mountains on the earth, you know that you have a big mountains of the limestone. From there you are collecting the limestone. So these limestones, what they do, continuous deposition of carbonate is happening on these mountains, and this deposition is because of reaction of some type of presence of, I think you are aware of lichens and all that are there. They are helping out this conversion of atmospheric CO2 into the carbonates, and that helps in the formation of limestone. So that is how it naturally it can be deposited over here also. So this is the thing. And with respect to this only, the oxygen cycle is also working, that because atmospheric oxygen, O2, is utilized by definitely in the process of respiration by animals, and the process is called respiration. So animals are utilizing it, and through the process of respiration they release H2O, and this H2O, when it is splitting in the process of photosynthesis, why is it so, why it is happening, that is not you have to study right now, but you will study later on, that photosynthesis have one process, have one stage where it can split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, and this oxygen is given back to the atmosphere, and it is because of process of photosynthesis. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So this is how the oxygen cycle works. This is how the carbon cycle works. So you can understand that, and uh, if you go through your text, if you have any doubts, do ask me regarding these cycle. Understood?
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Fine. And with respect to the carbon cycle and oxygen cycle, you have a topic that is called greenhouse effect and ozone layer. I will be teaching you everything in comparison with this. Okay. So just imagine how it is happening. Okay, why, what do you mean by greenhouse effect, what do you mean by greenhouse gases, and how it is affecting ozone layer? Because you must be reading that hole in the ozone layer is increasing its size and all that. Somewhere it is healing, why it is healing, somewhere it is maintaining its size. So how it is happening, let's, and just I will just give you one picture, that suppose you have the earth surface, and you have the whole atmosphere over it. Okay, and we have some counted amount of gases in the atmosphere, and because this is with respect to the CO2. So that's one is the major thing you should understand. Now see, uh, because everybody blames carbon dioxide is increasing, but do understand, this particular gas is very innocent, it doesn't have any fault. It's our fault, it's others fault, and the all blame goes with this particular molecule. So it is very sad why it is happening to me. So let's see why it is happening to him. Okay, so the thing is, our atmosphere works with this thing that because we have studied the layers of the atmosphere, you know, whatever light we are obtaining, the radiations is from the sun. Okay, so let's see that the sun gives out the UV radiations, which should cross all these atmospheric layers, and it should reach to the surface of Earth, and there it should be utilized by the plants for the photosynthesis. I think you must be aware that in presence of sunlight, the photosynthesis takes place. Okay, so with from the plants, the microorganism, all should utilize this sun, and whatever radiation is not utilized, it should be given back to the sun or in the space. It should go back. So what happens over here? This should normally should be there. That is how the earth should function. But what happens, what mistake is there over here is that the radiation, suppose if I say the radiation which is coming to the earth, okay, suppose 100 rays are coming, 100 rays of UV radiation are coming to the earth, and when they are crossing this particular layers, many of them will be reflected back to the space. Okay, so let me say, and it is these layers are so protective that 70 rays goes back, just because of the reflection and refraction, all these processes. Okay, so that is how it happens. So 70 rays just go back to the space, they are not on the earth atmosphere. Okay, now these 30 rays, whatever is arrested in the atmosphere, they are just accumulated over here, they should be utilized by the plants. These should be utilized by the plants for photosynthesis, and some of the microorganisms also, they also do photosynthesis process. So this should be utilized with the from the plants. But now see, these 30 rays out of 30, suppose if we go for the 50-50 ratio, then 15 rays are utilized by the plants. Let's see, uh, let's take 20 rays are utilized by the plants. Only 10 are wondering here what we have to do, what we are doing over here. So here comes the picture of CO2. What will these out of these 10 rays, these 10 rays will be absorbed by this innocent element, that is innocent uh, thing, that is carbon. The carbon has the tendency to absorb the UV radiation. Okay, so that is the function of natural CO2 available in the environment. That is how it should function. Okay, so that 0.03% of carbon dioxide, that is what it is doing. It is absorbing the rays which are not being utilized by any of the living organism in the atmosphere, and it should be absorbed. And once they are absorbed, what they do is this particular CO2 maintains this. When they are absorbing, definitely they are the radiation. They will give you the temperature, and this temperature helps in keeping the earth warm. Okay, that means maintaining the temperature, which should be soothing to each and every organism, even for microorganisms, for plants, for animals. And it should maintain that the strategical feature of the earth, that means polars, tropicals, and equators. Okay, that's why you have the tropical climate, that's why you have the temperate climate. All these things are there. Okay, so this warmth should be maintained by the earth so that every organism should are surviving. Now, what is happening that because of pollution, unwanted CO2, unwanted carbon monoxide, unwanted methane, ethane, propane, butane, all these gases will come. Unwanted, I think CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, all these will be released in the environment. Okay. Now, when they are released, the one which I am writing with the red are the unwanted one. So these, when they are released in the atmosphere, what they will do is that the one which is when the rays these are coming and they are reflecting back, they will be capturing these 70 rays also. Okay, so out of 70, if they are successful in capturing 30, then you can imagine that temperature will rise. And when temperature will rise, that leads to the greenhouse effect. Is this concept is clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So that is why, because natural CO2 don't have any role in increasing the temperature of earth. It just keeps the earth warm. It just keeps the earth soothing. That is what is needed. Otherwise, what will happen? The earth will turn into ice if this is not there. But due to the pollution, this is happening, and they are trapping the one which is reflecting back. So these rays will be captured, and that leads to the increase in the temperature of the earth, and that is called greenhouse effect. So that's why these gases are called greenhouse gases. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So natural CO2 is not a greenhouse gas. It's a pollution, the one which is released with the in the form of pollutant. That is a greenhouse gas. So that is how you have to understand. And see, when this disturbance is there, when this is happening, these greenhouse gases, I will do it here because there is not much more space to explain to you. Then when these pollutants are released, so what they will do is these CO2 and this CFC, basically this one, this is a very culprit one. It has two carbon with it, so it's a culprit. So it reaches to the ozone, till the where you have that blanket, where you have that layer, it reaches to the ozone. And ozone, I think you are aware, it is O3. Okay, and
Yes, ma'am.
when it is O3, then it is a ozone. Okay, now see this particular layer is not a stable molecule. Oxygen is not a stable molecule, because you study chemistry, you should be aware that it is not a stable, it is not an inert molecule, it's not inert. So this O3 is maintained. How it is maintained? That O2 plus O minus, it is continuously reacting to form O3. This reaction is very much continuous over here, okay, in the ozone layer. So that is how this O3 is maintained. And it is so fast, it is in even nanoseconds doesn't is a time in which this reaction is happening. So the whole layer is having this reaction and O3 is maintained. So naturally what happens, if all these pollutants are not there, these radiations are going back and everything is there, then ozone is very much protected. But when these gases are being released, they will reach to this ozone, and what they will do, they will stop this process. They will not allow the O2 and O to react and form O3. So what happens that in that place where this is happening, wherever the pollution is more on earth, on the top of it, the place where ozone hole you say, there at that place O2 and O minus are separate. O3 is not there. And because of presence of oxygen, that area is called hole. Is it clear to you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it is not like somebody somebody just reached there and pierced that a hole is being done, or somebody went there and opened that layer. Okay, you get opened and the hole will be done there. It is not the hole. It is physically it is not done. It is because of this this CFC, this carbon reaches there and it will stop this process. It will disturb this thing, and that is the reason O2 and O minus will stay like that only, and that in the layer wherever it is this will be done by CFC, at that place the hole will be seen. So that is how the ozone holes are there. So for that what you have to do is you have to, in that region of whatever country is there at on that axis, you have to maintain that there the pollution should be controlled and all that should be done, so that this can be healed, this can be rectified. Understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So
Yes,
that is
ma'am.
what about the greenhouse, that is what about the ozone layer. So this science of your chapter over here, you ask me what you want. Anything to be asked?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
We could
fine.
discuss some topics of tissue.
Yes, definitely. I have to take tissue. So, I, you have schools right now?
Ma'am,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you explain the functioning of stomata?
Functioning, closing and opening of stomata, you are asking me?
Yes, ma'am, and also
Okay. You,
that
when you have
connective tissue.
connective tissue in the animals like areolar and adipose and all that.
Yes, ma'am, like bone tissue.
Okay, fine. So when you have the biology exams,
Ma'am, 14th.
Ma'am, 14th.
that is on Monday and today is 10th. Okay, in between we do have class.
No, ma'am. Ma'am, on
No,
14th
ma'am, we can
morning we
arrange
have
from
class.
extra class.
Fine. If for tissues we have to arrange, right? Um, can you give me the time for that?